Hey everybody, Jake here with TrendSpider to go over the weekend analysis into Monday, June 17th. And I wish I had better charts to show you. All of the charts are really boring. The last week has been really quite suppressed as far as price action goes. We've really just held into this area right here. That's almost looking like some type of flag here for our next leg up. So on the daily raindrop candle, I do have a resistance area above in case this did start to move up. The raindrops itself are really not showing a ton of action for Friday. We did have quite a bit of volume near the top of the range, with that volume pushing for new highs for the day. But all in all, just really consolidating here. We did have a very strong breakout the previous week through this channel, and now the price is really trying to figure out what it wants to do. In the weekly chart, we can see that we're still in this very massive megaphone area of resistance and support. So, it's hard to say what's going to happen. It's always hard to say what's going to happen, but especially here where we've got this really ugly candle. We did have a similar candle here with a strong move down, but there's a lot of differences, right? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks in a row green, and then this formed. This is just a huge engulfing candle, and then this formed. So really, it's hard to say which way this goes. The short term is showing a possible flag, but the longer term is showing that there is a big indecision doji on the weekly. So, we'll just have to see what happens and go from there. But based on this, I am definitely not looking at a huge move into next week either, unless there's some type of news or some type of tweet, which seems to happen every day these days. So we'll just have to see what happens on SPY. The Qs and XBI are a little more, have a little more going on, if you will. For the Qs, we do have an interesting area here that's much more defined than SPY. We've got this very strong resistance area here, very strong support. That was similar to SPY. We've got this is kind of where we're starting the line. We've got 1 and 2 areas of support, and then we did break out of that channel, that similar to how we did on SPY. But now we've got this area that was support here, resistance here, tried to act as resistance here, at least during the day, and now we're finding support here once again. So this will be an interesting area to see if it holds. So if it did hold and start to break out to the upside, that's where we'd see possibly a test of resistance above. If this did start to break down, I would possibly think that the next logical area for the price to get to would be the SMA 20 below. So we'll just have to see what happens. I can go ahead and create an alert at this line though, and to lock this in for next week to get ready in case this did start to break down. We've got the 5-minute SMA 20 close, 7 days, create alert. So now the alert is created. Anytime that this area becomes moves down into this purple area, we will be alerted. Oops, I always forget about that. That's one thing to note, everyone. The raindrops only work on a higher up time frame above the 10 minutes. So let me remove this alert. We will create an alert at this line, and we'll be alerted, let's just say at the 15-minute candle. Same criteria, SMA close in 7 days, triggered 1 time. And so now this is set up. If this starts to break down, we'll be alerted. If this starts to break out, create an alert here, and we will be alerted. So really don't have to stare at the charts all day. The system will let us know when the price gets to those crucial areas. Resistance, 7 days, create alert. And now we are set for any time that the price really starts to break through these key areas. On the weekly candle, similar thing here. We've got this very broadening resistance and support, but we do have more of a wedge here. Looking at the weekly, we've got 2 tests of the support here, and this is body to body. We're just drawing the trend lines instead of wick to wick, just connecting the bodies instead. And what we can see here is if we did start to break down, this area would be support below, but you can notice here that each time this area has been tested, there has been a fake out. So if this did start to break down, that would be something to keep in mind, possibly some type of fake out or a bigger breakdown. This is kind of a weird spot in the market, a lot of things going on in the world, The Fed as well, kind of switching things up a little bit too. So based on that, we'll just have to see where things go from here. Last but not least, XBI. We do have an interesting setup here. Falling wedge on the daily, and you can see this pretty interesting. We had this big move up, and then we're having this very long consolidation period where the price is trying to figure out if it wants to break out or continue down towards the apex of this wedge. On the weekly candle, we can see that we are near this larger wedge support here, and we did have a dark cloud cover candle formation here today. So when I turn on the patterns here, we'll see dark cloud cover has formed, and that's one of the cool things about the platform. It will show you different candlestick patterns that have formed. We've got a whole library here. I just have dark cloud cover on, but we have a ton of different patterns you can choose from, and have the system look for those areas for you. So if let's say that I did want to look for a potential breakdown through this area next week, I can easily do the alert once again. We'll make it very sensitive. We don't want, we're pretty much already closed into this purple area here. So moving it to the left will make a smaller alert area. And so anytime that the price gets anywhere within that purple area, we will be alerted. We'll do wedge support, expires in 7 days, triggered one time, create alert. So now if we did start to break down, we'll be alerted. And same thing here. One thing I really like to do is create alerts between the resistance and support to see whatever the price breaks through, we'll know that that's the area to watch. So this is an example here that I had with United Airlines recently this week. If we move this back to a regular candle, you'll see that we were alerted right here. And what was cool is, and this is where the sensitivity really comes into play, we did not actually touch the very top of this line or the very top of this area. We missed this line by a very small amount. As you can see here, we didn't actually touch it. So this is a great example of the sensitivity kind of capturing this move, this margin of error around the line. And then if we did get the alert here, we would have known, okay, maybe it's time to take some profits. Notice we did have a big move down, but then the price did find kind of a close right near the previous close. So all in all, definitely a very interesting feature to use. I use it all the time for these breakouts. So kind of going back to XBI, you can see here, we can do the same thing here and create this area on both sides. Create alert here, as I've done with some of these other ones. And wedge resistance. And then we can do wedge support. And so, whenever the price breaks through one of these areas, we know, okay, maybe it's time to start looking at the chart deeper. We'll do the 5-minute wedge support. Same thing, expires in 7 days. And so now, whenever the price breaks through these two crucial areas, we'll be alerted. And it doesn't necessarily have to break through. It could just touch or bounce as well, and we will be alerted. So that is the beauty of the alert system. You don't have to have it on an exact, precise level. It can have some margin of error. The last thing that I did want to show that was really cool over the last couple weeks has been the XLF chart. So what we can see here when I change everything to what it needs to be, we've got the raindrop charts here, and this is really cool. So the raindrop charts, just to remind you, are an area. Let's go back to original. All right, so this is the fib levels that I had up, as well as the raindrops. So a little case study here. We had this falling wedge. We had support once, twice, and then 3 times. And we had this blue raindrop forming. We also had a blue raindrop forming right at the resistance area as well. And to remind you, a blue raindrop is when the VWAP on each side of the first half of the candle equal, and the second half equal each other. So in this case, you can see these two horizontal lines are almost exactly equal, and that's why it's a blue doji. In this case, you can see this is red because the right side's VWAP, the second half of the period's VWAP, is lower than the first half, and that's why it's red. And then finally, we can see this VWAP on the right side is higher than the left, and that's why it's green. So what we can see here is, especially for XLF, this is an area where it can definitely signal potential reversals. So we had a reversal here at the resistance, move down, and then we had a raindrop, a blue raindrop on the support, and a huge move up to this level that was triggered on the sensitivity alert here. We had the blue raindrop, moved back down, right above the 38.2% fib level, and then continued to move up. And what's cool here is we can see towards the end of the day, a lot of the volume was focused near the high of the day here, as well as that volume pushing prices to new highs. So all in all, very interesting to see on XLF how these blue raindrops can form. And you can even go as far as backtesting them if you'd like. So on SPY, what's really cool to see here, when we go to this, we'll just turn everything off real quick. If we wanted to see how a blue raindrop forms and responds afterwards, we can see this on the strategy tester. Quickly go to the condition, would be the daily candlestick pattern. Go down to the raindrop doji right here, and maybe we want to see how it moves after 5 candles. We can test that, and then we can see, especially as we paint this on the chart, that almost every time we had a very strong, just a blue doji, we had a very strong move. So you can see here, first time this happened, 1.88% move within 5 days. Here we had a negative 1.07% move within 5 days, but it was actually lower than that because we're taking this average here, but we actually did move all the way down here. So if you did want to see more details of the measured moves here as far as max drawdown, max gain, you can always go to download CSV here, and that will show you all of the data in an Excel file or just in a spreadsheet. So moving on, we can see that here's our entry, here's our exit, another 1% move. Once again, here's our entry, here's our exit at negative 2.29% move. So the thing to keep in mind is the blue doji does not always tell you which way there's going to be volatility. It just tells you that there's going to be volatility. And not always, but generally, especially for the SPY chart here, we've had a pretty big move after every one in the last 320 candles that we're looking at. So this is something to definitely take a look at. It is something we're still doing a lot of research on, but we are finding some very interesting things with this blue raindrop. And please let us know if you find anything as well. Still a very new tool and a feature as well. So please let us know if it's something that you like and have found something interesting. All right, everyone, that is everything that I have for this weekend. We do have a webinar on Sunday evening. And if you do want to learn more about the TrendSpider platform as well as the company in general, you can log into that. I will provide a link on the YouTube video so you can log in and sign up if you'd like. And please let us know if you have any feedback at all. Hope you have a great weekend, and thank you so much for listening.